Trevor Noah is ending his run on The Daily Show. Say it isn't so. He made the announcement last night. Take a look.
I realized that after the 7 years, my time is up. Yeah, but in the most beautiful way. Honestly, I've loved hosting this show, but after 7 years, I feel like it's time.
Wow. So Trevor says he's leaving the show because he wants to get back to stand-up. But some people say that it's the ratings to blame. If you look back, it looks like that Jon Stewart had a 1.7 viewers. I'm just trying to break it down layman's terms because in TV industry talk, we would say like a 1.7 or a 0.8.
In English, too, you'd say.
And compare it to Trevor Noah's 800,000. But then again, like, back then with Jon Stewart, people were watching a lot more as opposed to people are looking at more clips with Trevor Noah on social.
Well, also think about the climate of society, especially when it comes to political banter, political like pundits and stuff. Like, people are way more divided now than they were 7 years ago. I mean, there were probably people who considered themselves on one side of the aisle than what Jon Stewart was, but still watched him. Now we're like, if you're this, you're going this way. If you're that, you're going that way. So that's really comparing apples and oranges. But also, like, it really touched me because I was thinking about the fact that we have each other, especially over the past few years, and how much he talked about, you know, being in his house for 2 years and, you know, all of the things that were going on in terms of social justice. And that was like impacting us in real time as much as it was impacting our audience. We were going through it together. So to be the only forward-facing person in that production, that had to have like probably taken a toll double than what a normal run would have been.
And I think that he transcends television because of his 11 million plus Twitter followers, his 8 million plus Instagram followers. I think that he's just somebody who's beloved in South Africa. He talked about in his goodbye yesterday, people in India knew who he was and he was surprised. And so this is when you talk about just traditional television doesn't have to be the only way that you can translate through to other people. And I think that he's mastered that and taken The Daily Show because of that to a whole new level and brought it to a whole new audience in ways that Jon Stewart wasn't even able to because 7 years ago, social media was not as impactful as it is today.
Very well said. Who do you think will replace him, or do you think The Daily Show is on its way out?
I don't know. I think things are changing, right? Because of this whole cancel culture thing, people were canceled and then realized that they don't need the network to be successful. He doesn't need the network to be successful. He's popular worldwide. He has 11 million followers. If he wants to go around the world and sell out arenas with his stand-up, he can. And he can tell the jokes that he wants to tell. He doesn't need a network telling him, you can't say this or don't say this or you better say this or you better do that. No. He could start a podcast and tour the world and make twice as much money and be his own boss without people telling him what to do. And I think that's where entertainment's going. I do like my job, though.
My mom has a theory that's not proven at all by any news source. She says that he's going to The Late Show because James Corden's leaving and he's going to take that job. And I think they're under the same umbrella.
What if your mom is right?
If she is, I don't know what the source was.
Hey,
but
Trevor Noah and The Late Show
would be good.
Good. All right, let's put it out there. Mama Granger. Okay. All right, Bruce Willis is unretiring. Well, sort of. The actor retired last year after his aphasia diagnosis, but he just sold his image rights to an AI company. Here's a look at his digital twin. Okay, I'm going to pause and look at that. Wow. All right. So, which was used in a commercial last summer. Bruce is the first celeb to sell his face. But earlier this week, we told you about James Earl Jones, who agreed to AI so his Darth Vader voice can live on, obviously selling it. I mean, we don't know what that number is, but he's not just going to be like, yeah, you can use my voice.
Yeah, anytime.
Right, right. So do you think this is the future, that all of a sudden actors aren't going to be able to really have onus on their own face, or do you think that this will I didn't sleep at all last night with a sick baby.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I'm not formulating my thoughts, or do you think that we will, to Jeff's point always, that the pendulum has swung too far and we'll get back to where we are?
Well, I hate this just because it freaks me out. It reminds me of like a Black Mirror episode.
Yes.
But I do like that you have autonomy over your character that can live on when you want to retire. And his estate, both of their estates probably can make money and decide what the fee is for using their likeness. But I also think about like being a grandma, my grandma mind, in the grocery store. I'm like, oh my God, the machines are taking over for the people jobs.
No.
And I'm thinking about the actors that actually can act. Like Al said to me earlier, like we have Denzel Washington Washington because Sidney Poitier opened the door for him. But if we kept using Sidney Poitier in every movie, maybe we don't need Denzel because he was an amazing actor.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, it is, and it kind of goes to my point because I like this and I don't, right? On the one hand, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Did you not sleep last night?
No, I totally did. I totally did.
Erica?
I can't talk normally. I'm better when I'm angry about something. No, so on the one hand, like I would love this because I'd love to go to a Bob Marley concert, right? I'd love to see Bob Marley and do the whole show. I forgot what my other point was. I had both sides. You guys remember what I said?
I have a question, though, for all of you. Do you think there's stipulations? Like, you can use my likeness, but you cannot use it for X, Y, and Z.
Of course. I think that we're thinking of this a little too all or nothing. And really, we've seen these things happen over the course of, our entire lifetime as technology gets better and better. I think about how I entered this industry as a radio host, and there was this was in the early 2000s, and everyone would call this DJ Killer 2000. It was the idea that you would take one voice, one person, and put it into all these different markets, and they thought that would mean the end of having any live hosts in studios. Now, are there far fewer jobs? Absolutely, but there's still live hosts in studios. There's a fusion of both. So I think that there is room for this new technology to come in. And who knows as well, like people evolve and thoughts evolve. So the idea that Sidney Poitier, just to use that as an example, would then go on to be the only black actor for the next 500 years is a little ridiculous because 500 years from now, people are going to be like, that's not even representative. Lord, what's wrong with all of us? Representative of our humanity. Is it happy hour yet?
We should start. Maybe we should start.
Wait, Jeff, you got your thought back.
Okay,
I got my point. The point I was going to make is I don't like it oversaturated like that. Could you imagine like James Bond at some point, you see each of the James Bonds in the movie, like you go back, that'd be cool. Or every Batman somehow appears in a new Batman movie. I like those little cameo appearances. This wasn't worth waiting for?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's just.
I'll meet you at the bar.
We got 25 minutes.
I can't. Okay. Jessica Simpson is opening up about the one moment that defined her entire life, in her words, and the piece of advice she received from a Hollywood icon. Take a look.
Linda Carter warned me on the set of Dukes of Hazzard. She was like, I will always be Wonder Woman and compared to Wonder Woman, and that's what you're doing here as Daisy Duke. I decided, okay, everybody's gonna talk about my weight all the time. I might as well make money off of it and turn it into a business of selling clothes and acceptance.
In case you don't remember, Jessica played the character Daisy Duke in the Dukes of Hazzard movie back in 2005. Is it fair to compare these women to one character? Is that how you see Jessica Simpson as Dukes of? I don't even think of her as that. I think of her as a girl boss. She's $1 billion company.
That's what I said. It didn't really hinder her in any way. She's a billionaire. But also, I think that sometimes we put so much, or I can speak for myself, on one decision, like it's going to change my life. And I know the anxiety in that. And sometimes it could if it's a horrible decision or a great one. But most of the time, decisions are somewhere in the middle, and like you can go on and decide how your life goes after that because we all have autonomy over our futures. And so I think that she made one decision, but then she went on to do many other things. She did her reality show. I think that would be more impactful to me with that can of tuna or chicken of the sea, whatever.
Yeah.
That moment to me is her whole entire career versus this Dukes of Hazzard. I forgot about that movie.
That's a good point. I think leaning into anything, right? Whether it be good or bad, if you just accept it, like Bad Chad. You lean into being Bad Chad.
Tell them who Bad Chad is.
I don't know.
Bad Chad's from The Bachelor. Or just, if you don't know who Bad Chad is, just take any villain type on any reality show. Lean into that a little bit. I was on a show with a guy who's a wrestler now, and he was kind of like the bad guy.
Was he the one that Jordan chest bumped?
That was a different guy. But again, I don't mean to bring it up. I'm just saying, like, if you lean into that, you could capitalize. Not saying she kind of did with the chicken of the sea thing. She leaned into that, and now look at her. It just, you evolve into something else. But lean into it. Doesn't always have to be a bad thing.
You need to lean into it?
Yeah, lean into it.
That's like, what's the name? A book called Lean In. All about, never mind. Go ahead.
Good luck. luck, Erica.
It also comes at a cost because we can look at this and the fact that, you know, obviously her Jessica Simpson empire. I mean, I just bought a pair of Jessica Simpson shoes yesterday.
They're good.
So,
let's be honest.
Yeah, and they're comfortable and they're cute. So, yeah, but the idea that she had an empire and now it's worth $1 billion or whatever those numbers are, yes, she's a success story. But let's not forget that it was not an easy road for her, and she was the object of very public scrutiny at a very young age. It's a miracle that her issues with substance abuse that she's been very open about didn't claim her life. Right. So she went through it in order to get to the other side. And I think sometimes it's very difficult, especially when you're a first. And Jessica Simpson was a first. Reality TV was not reality TV when she started. You know, like, she was a pioneer of reality television. She was a pioneer for, you know, a role like this, and a pioneer for parlaying this into something else. And those are not easy tracks to put down. So I think it's really nice that we can look at it and be like, but look at her now. But there was a cost to all of that.
And there still is. I go on her Instagram, I follow her, but I always check out the comments because her fans are brutal. Like, I don't even want to call them fans. I would say the majority of her comments are talking about the cadence of her voice because of, perhaps, I'm not a clinician, but medication she might be on recovering from substance abuse, or her body. Like, I've never seen people scrutinize a body more than on her page, or her lips, and it's heartbreaking. Like, she still is in that, Erica. Like, I think people still boil her down just to her physicality, and I can't imagine reading those comments every day. It would affect me.
Yeah.
So.